So a while ago, I made a very difficult start for a new nation inside of Maine that was at war with Maine. Well, I missed some unintended behavior that you guys spotted pretty quickly, and using that bug, or exploit, or unintended behavior, whatever you want to call it, you guys won it in minutes. As such, I decided to count legitimate completions only, and it took you 3 hours for the first win, with over 10 total completions so far on the record. Of course. Right, okay, so I'm not going to be messing around this time, no holding back, we are giving to the AI the win button, and I'm going to be preemptively trying to make this actively miserable for the player. Is this intended to be playable? No. Are you going to enjoy this at a masochistic level, perhaps? But frankly, if you're looking for a more enjoyable challenge, consider mods such as Rome AI, which make the AI better without giving them stat buffs. The problem, of course, is that those mods are doable, playable, and completable. This mod keeps the AI in its dormant state that we all know and love. However, the focus is to give the AI such stupid buffs that, frankly, that doesn't matter, and it's just going to have such an overpowered advantage compared to the player's just going to miserably die. So before we get into the game, time for the usual things. A like would be appreciated if you haven't already, and a subscription would be amazing. We're closing on 22k, and we are getting closer and closer to overtaking T-Bone in our race to 25k. We will win this, I'm sure of it, so do your part and help us get there. Anyway, enough self-shilling. What have I done this time? Well, unfortunately, EU4 is very unhelpful for organizing the modifiers, so even though I've organized them in the actual code themselves, I'm going to have to show you them in the full list here. And without further ado, this is what the AI gets. Now, I took all the usual buffs from very hard and spruced them up a bit, but I'm going to be also having new things. Let's start with interest being at minus 10%. Yeah, so the AI will always pay the minimum 1% interest on all loans, and bankruptcy just resets them back to 4% for a short duration, in the unlikely event it occurs. It also pays 75% less for their buildings, straight up does not generate aggressive expansion, has a 20% discount on all technology, and pays half price for all their advisors. Now, the next issue is internal stability. The AI might struggle with rebels, so to help them with that, I gave them the recent uprising buff permanently. Their autonomy decreases by 10% a month, meaning that they will never have issues with that. And to help encourage expansion, they have 200% governing capacity, as well as a flat 10,000 gov cap just to really spice things up. Now, the AI is also pretty bad at fighting, so I'm going to give them 0.1 base mill tactics, which is, for all intents and purposes, a 10% discipline buff that scales with discipline buffs they pick up later, as well as 0.5 land morale. Not 50% land morale, but 0.5 base morale, which is insane. Early game, that is a huge morale increase, and come late game, the percentage buffs the AI will pick up will scale even better. Furthermore, the AI I found, with those huge forcement buffs from double forcement size, kind of struggled with supply limit, so I just said, screw it. I removed the modifier for AIs. They have so much national supply limit, they're never going to struggle with it. I also removed the morale damage that they take in reserve, so if the AI overstacks like they love to do, there's actually no punishment for overstacking. They don't take morale damage from reserves, so there are no issues for them at all. Which actually means that the AI now reinforces every single battle literally perfectly. Finally, I have heard that everyone complains that the AI cheats with their fort pathing. So I thought, you know what, that's a great innovation. Let's just add that in. The AI can bypass forts now, so good luck. Otherwise, their normal buffs are increased even more, including frankly stupid things like minus 50% idea cost, as well as minus 50% dev cost. This is finally going to get the AI to dev. Their armies are also half price, as are their ships, and naturally to help with those 1% loans, they'll be taking the buffs also come with 0.1 monthly inflation, just to really help them out with everything. Now then, as a player, because the AI devs so much, you could be tempted to just take their minus 50% dev cost dev'd land, which granted would be quite painful in war, but to make that option even more painful, and to make the player overpowered stacking modifiers even more harder to achieve, enjoy plus 100% core and province war score cost increases. So yeah, stacking 100% CCR just lets you back to normal. Same for province war score cost increases. Also, the AI knows it's good, so why should it accept becoming the player's vassal? As a player, the AI will have a further minus 20 reasons to become your subject, and they also gain a load of flat Liberty Desire as well as doubling Liberty Desire from development, just to make that whole thing more miserable. Now, I did want to make sure that this mod actually worked, so I did a bit of a test game, and I just ran the game until 1500s just to see how the AI handles it. Frankly, it's not the most unusual save outside of Brittany getting the Begunner inheritance, so when you inspect it in this way, it looks pretty normal, but I think once you get into the game, you'll see how awful it is. Native American tribes, for one, used to have stupid number counts. They have even more stupid number counts now. Pretty much every single Native American tribe is running around with 22k men, 23k in some examples, and even the relatively weaker settled tribes down in here are running around with 15, 16k stacks. This is pure misery for anyone trying to invade this area because you'll be basically fighting 100k stacks of enemy troops, even though Castillo's not short of trying. With that said, let's take a look at Europeans. As you can see by the French 100k stacks running around the country, Yeah, they have 200k armies in 1500. England also isn't that far off with almost 100k of their own. Britain is fitting 156k, although that's basically just Burgundy united. And nations like Austria, Hungary, and Bohemia all exceed 100k without issue. Poland is now also hitting that 200k mark, as is their personal union over Lithuania, approaching on 100k themselves. Even Denmark, which has been severely reduced by the might of Volgost, as well as, well, Sweden taking random bits of it, is still going to be fielding almost 30,000 men in the state, which is quite frankly a miracle. And nations such as Lübeck and other random German OPMs aren't exactly slackers either. I mean, just take a look at the Landshut fielding 35k, and even tanks such as Ansbach are just running around with 15k men. The Ottomans are doing Ottoman things, pushing into the Mamluks, but their current state in, well, 1500 is miserable. 240k troops is insane, and they haven't even finished conquering Greece yet. They've had 7 dev clicks and 12 dev clicks on their 2 provinces respectively, and it's 1500. This is only going to get worse. The Ming has also not collapsed and built up to 400k men, making fighting them just absolutely a misery. They also have 200 ships in 1500s, because of course they do. And if you take a look at their average province, which has already had 5 dev clicks by 1500, this is frankly ridiculous. Ming is literally sitting at 1345 development without expanding. But that's just looking at pure armies. Can they afford these armies? Looking at income comparison and sorting by total, yes they can. Ming is making absolute bank with 171 ducats to their name, but even ducats such as Ottomans, Venice, and France are pulling in well over 100 income. We didn't actually give them that many economic buffs, but the main things they of course have is just incredibly cheap buildings. So if you take a look through their land, they have farm estates pretty much everywhere, as well as workshops, mosques, and they're even building courthouses now, which is redundant, but you know, it can't stop the AIs doing that. The combination of Renaissance and very hard makes their construction costs reduced by 80%, meaning that any individual construction cost they can pick up, like the Mamluks here getting another minus 10%, makes them hit the literal cap on how cheap buildings can go. For context, that means temples cost 10 ducats each, and manufactories cost 50, half the price of a normal workshop. Italy is somehow even more miserable. See, they don't realize that their aggressive expansion is reduced by 200%, so they haven't really expanded much. But this has led to situations where you have well over, and in some cases almost 30 dev provinces on every single tile. 31 dev, 28 dev, to another 28 dev, 27, 31, 39, and 40 dev provinces on Florence respectively. The overall dev map mode is insanely green for 1500s, like this is frankly ridiculous. Basically, as a player, this is absolute misery. So for those of you intending to play this, as always, this is available as a mod on the workshop. But I would have to say, yeah, you're going to probably want to stick with something such as the Ottomans, or even the Ming, so yeah, play as the Big Bob, if you want to have a reasonable time, or frankly not even an impossible time actually playing. Another nation I think will go quite well, especially with the range of debuffs I've given you, is going to be Austria, since a lot of their gameplay involves around PUing vassals, and there aren't that many debuffs to PUs, just plus 25% liberty desire, which is frankly still quite bad, don't get me wrong, that is not something pretty, and probably something you want to avoid. I will have to say that's probably the approach here, because you'll be able to actually utilize some of the AI insane military buffs and strength. I mean, the Ottomans are currently not paying for their troops, reducing their morale by 1.18. However, with that, they'll be running 4.7 morale in 1500s, and they don't exactly have defensive ideas or anything, this is just power projection and golden era. And this 115% discipline, bear in mind, is affecting an extra 0.1 mil tactics. Bear in mind, current mil tactics for this age is 1.25, meaning that a base increase of 0.1 mil tactics is also absolutely massive for any kind of fighting that's going to be taking place. I, of course, don't have this buff as I've tabbed into this nation, and that removes the very hard bonuses, because I'm no longer an AI. So, yeah, good luck with this. I frankly don't even think you'll be able to enjoy this kind of gameplay, but it's there if you're feeling extra spicy today. It's downright miserable. I'm not touching this. Frankly, I'd rather rank every single province in the game. Oh, alright, I already did that. Yeah, no, so I'd rather go do that again. If you do want a specific challenge or goal, I'm not saying do a world conquest, because that's just frankly grindy, but try and do a conventional game as the Ottomans and see how much these AI buffs hold you back. Or try and just survive as the Ming with everything going on around you. You probably won't be invaded for quite a while, and yeah, I think that'll be the most chill version of this, as Ming, outside of Eu4, doesn't have that many natural enemies. For the more over-the-top challenges, I would suggest actually trying an Austria game and seeing if you can pull off just conceptually a revoke with these settings. Because, frankly, this is going to be really, really hard to enforce any kind of domain over the Holy Roman Empire with all these debuffs. With that said, that is all I have time for today. Thank you very much to my channel members that supported me, with a further special thanks to Ark and Sir Lemon.